Coming up on today's episode of Airborne, additional pilots will serve on the House Transportation Committee, 4 to be enshrined in the National Aviation Hall of Fame, class of 2015, and 2 sisters share command of a JetBlue cockpit for the first time. Welcome to Airborne on Aero-TV. I'm Ashley Hale. 2 more pilots are among the 12 new members who will serve on the U.S. House of Representatives Transportation and Infrastructure Committee when the 114th Congress convenes in January. The committee and its Aviation Subcommittee will play a vital role in setting long-term spending priorities for the FAA. Representative Todd Rokita is an active pilot. Rokita is also an original co-sponsor of the General Aviation Pilot Protection Act, which reforms the third-class medical certification process, as well as a member of the House GA caucus and one of General Aviation's staunchest allies in Congress. Also joining the committee is freshman Representative Brian Babin, who is an inactive pilot. AOPA President Mark Baker said in part, quote, "We are excited to have so many pilots serving on the critically important Transportation and Infrastructure Committee. These are lawmakers who understand, use, and value general aviation," end quote. The National Aviation Hall of Fame, known as the NAHF, has announced the names of 4 individuals who have been elected for enshrinement at its annual formal ceremony on October 2, 2015 in Dayton. The 4 names of the incoming enshrinees class of 2015 were unveiled at a reception in the NAHF's Learning Center, which is an interactive exhibit hall located adjacent to the National Museum of the United States Air Force, located in Dayton, Ohio. The 4 to be formally enshrined on October 2, 2015 are Brigadier General Robert L. Cardenas, USAF retired, the late Robert N. Hartzell, Eugene Gene Kranz, and the late Abe Silverstein. Often referred to as America's Oscar Night of Aviation, the black tie ceremony is open to the public and reservations are available by advance purchase from the NAHF. After the break, sisters command the cockpit on a JetBlue flight.
Since the early days of powered flight, pilots have struggled with landing in crosswinds. In fact, crosswinds and wind gusts cause more landing accidents than fog, thunderstorms, and icing combined. That's where the Redbird X-Wind SE comes in. By placing pilots in gusty crosswind conditions for extended periods of time, the X-Wind SE gives instructors all the time they need to teach the pilot the proper techniques for landing in crosswind conditions. For more information on Redbird X-Wind SE and Redbird's entire line of flight training devices, visit www.redbirdflightsimulation.com.
Welcome back. If you have a story suggestion for Airborne, Aero-TV, or our website, send an email to news-spy@aero-news.net. JetBlue pilots and sisters Pia and Anna-Maria Kymalainen recently flew as the cockpit crew on Flight 1480 from Fort Lauderdale to Washington, D.C., making them the first ever sister-sister flight crew at JetBlue. Pia was the A320 Captain, and Anna-Maria was the first officer. The sisters grew up in an aviation family in Finland, with their father in aeronautical engineering and an older brother following in their father's footsteps. The aspiration of flight was always close to home. Pia began her aviation career flying freight and corporate jets before joining JetBlue 9 years ago, while Anna-Maria followed her big sister's lead and also began flying corporate jets 7 years ago, until finding her home at JetBlue 3 years ago. In 2013, JetBlue created the JetBlue Foundation as a way to encourage and advance careers in aviation, specifically among underserved communities, including women. JetBlue said they're proud of the work the JetBlue Foundation does in working to increase the number of women in the pilot ranks. Each week, we share with you a sample of an online video one of our viewers found especially entertaining. We call it our Aero Video of the Week.
Final liftoff of Atlanta.
Electrical.
An engine failure is an emergency. That is, unless you're a professional crew flying the four-engine Airbus A340. Search Airbus A340 emergency on YouTube. The group restoring an historic B-29 Superfortress named Doc had hoped to fly the big warbird this month, which is the 70th anniversary of its rolling off the assembly line in 1944. But that flight has been pushed into the spring of 2015. It's reported that according to Jim Murphy, the project's program manager, installing the fuel system was the major holdup. And now it's the weather. Murphy said the fuel system is completely incorrectly installed, but now it's just too cold to take Doc outside. The group needs a minimum outside temperature of 50 degrees for starting and testing the engines, because they don't have portable oil heaters available. Being that the operation is based in Kansas, that means waiting until March for the rollout. The group, Doc's Friends, still hope to have the B-29 on display at AirVenture in 2015. It would be the first time in 60 years that two B-29s could fly in formation, the other being the CAF's Fifi. After these messages, a fire scout flies off a Coast Guard ship for the first time.
ADS-B will be mandatory for most aircraft by 2020 in the United States, but you can benefit from ADS-B today with the Bendix King KT-74 Mode S transponder. The KT-74 meets the global mandates for ADS-B out when attached to a suitable WAAS GPS. Finally, the extraordinary story of the world-changing X-Prize space competition is being told and illustrated with hundreds of insider photos in Jim Campbell's colorful new book, Beyond the Blue. Journey with Jim as he flies formation with spaceships, plays in zero gravity, prepares rocket racers, and documents the amazing first decade of the personal space race. Available this summer. Get your advance order in now by checking out www.kindredspirit.com.
Welcome back. The U.S. Coast Guard, in conjunction with Northrop Grumman Corporation and the U.S. Navy, flew the MQ-8B Fire Scout unmanned helicopter off the national security cutter Bertholf earlier this month. The MQ-8B Fire Scout was controlled and operated from a Fire Scout control station located on the Bertholf by Navy pilots and Coast Guard personnel. Coast Guard Lieutenant Commander Dan Broadhurst said unmanned aerial systems have the potential to significantly increase the surveillance range and capability of their Coast Guard cutters. And this demonstration helps to inform the service on the best way to proceed forward with the acquisition of the right unmanned capability in the future. MQ-8B is currently operational with the Navy and deployed on frigates and littoral combat ships. The MQ-8B system has completed more than 14,000 flight hours and 5,300 sorties. Dell Super Dell Shanzi was making his first appearance in court for allegedly chasing an endangered owl with his powered paraglider recently, and it did not go particularly well for the former TV pitchman. It's reported his problem started when he overheard the judge order a defendant in a previous case give up all his private guns as a condition of his release from jail. Shanzi broke forth with an outburst about the constitutionality of such a ruling, and the judge was not pleased. As a result of his outburst, it also cost Shanzi all of his guns. Regarding his own case, Shanzi blamed the media and said the case should be dismissed because, quote, it's all based on a fake YouTube video, end quote. That video allegedly shows Shanzi chasing the endangered owl in his powered paraglider 2 years ago. If convicted of using an aircraft to harass wildlife, Shanzi faces a $100,000 fine and up to a year in jail. The Phoenix, Arizona City Council voted unanimously last week to demand that the FAA reverse changes in traffic patterns at Phoenix Sky Harbor International Airport after numerous complaints from citizens about noise and other issues. The FAA altered traffic corridors on September 18th as a part of NextGen in an attempt to optimize approaches, But residents say that once quiet historic neighborhoods are now subjected to noise from air traffic they say rattles the windows. City officials say that they were unaware of the proposed changes, though some airport employees had copies of draft plans more than a year in advance of the change. Acting Airport Director Tammy Fisher said at the meeting that the airport did not think those draft plans would be implemented without official warning. The FAA said the agency is looking at potential adjustments to the flight paths, but that it will take time for those alterations to be vetted and implemented, just as long as putting noise mitigation in people's homes. Well, that's our program for Monday, December 22nd. Remember to get comprehensive real-time 24/7 coverage of the latest aviation and aerospace stories anytime at aero-news.net. Join us tomorrow, Tuesday, December 23rd, for a new episode of Airborne. It will be our last episode for the week as we'll all be enjoying our holiday. And remember, the debut of Airborne Unlimited is now only a few days away. I'm Ashley Hale. Thanks for watching.